Hello and welcome to Interface, a weekly podcast about technology, hosted by me, James Farley, and Matt Murray. Hello, Matt. How have you been?
I'm really well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. It's been a nice day today.
Yeah, it's been lovely weather.
Yeah. So, first of all, I think that before we continue with the topics that we're going to talk about, I should say something about the format and our intentions for the show. This is episode 4, and we've been discussing how we can make some changes to the show to make it better. So, after a heated exchange of views on WhatsApp, actually we just agreed with each other.
Yeah, pretty much.
We've decided to go weekly with a shorter, more focused show. This is kind of the plan. So what we're intending to do is to get this out every Monday. And each week we're going to look at 2 stories or topics that have interested us. We're going to have like one each. And at the end, we'll have a sort of a question of the week, which would be great if anybody listening would like to be involved with. So if you have any questions or anything you'd like us to discuss, please let us know. So, let's move on to our first topic, and as today I'm hosting, I'll go first. I hope is that okay, Matt?
Yeah, go on then.
Okay, so I'd like to talk about the Gboard. I presume you've heard about this, Matt?
This is that new electric skateboard, isn't it? It looks really exciting. I really want... No, it's not that. Is it? No, it's not that, is it?
No, it's not that one, no. That's the Gboard. No. You know, it's,
okay. This is the Google's keyboard, right?
That's right,
for
yeah.
iOS, which is now in the UK. Am I right? I've tried to get it. It's not out.
That's right, yeah. It seems to only be out in the US at the moment. I don't know why, but...
I have got a US iTunes account, but I've done it in the past, and I can't bother that stuff anymore, because then you get updates, and when you click on update, and it says not available in the store, and you got to log out and log back in again, so... I've sort of stopped doing the whole US and foreign iTunes account thing. It just did my nutting. But
yeah, I've never been bothered with that because I just thought I can't be bothered with the hassle.
I still can't believe that Google can release something and not just release it US only. Like, well, why not? It's 2016. Why aren't you releasing this worldwide? Like, I don't get that. But anyway, it does look really interesting. So what's it about? Well,
it's quite interesting because it has. I mean, it's a keyboard that basically has the core function is it has built-in search. So whatever app that you're using that is using the keyboard, next to the predictive text box, there is a Google button. And then you tap that, and then you can search. And the results come up below in the form of sort of cards, which can then be used in the chat or whatever you're doing. So this is one of the main functions. I mean, what do you think about that?
I think it's really handy. I mean, I think it'd be good to have... I mean, I will say one thing about that, but you know, the whole the predicted words above the keyboard. I have that off. I don't ever use that. I mean, I used it once in the first week. I'm not sure which. What was it? iOS 9 it came out with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I used it in the first week and I turned it off because I just think it's pointless. But well, I'm sure it's good for some people, but it's not good for me. So I don't use that. But yeah, the ability to have a search box just above that, it sounds really great. I mean, the biggest thing I've heard about this Gboard is more the fact that you got like emojis, mm-hmm. like right there, you know, front and center on the keyboard.
Yeah, I mean,
it does look interesting.
I totally agree with you about the predictions thing because I've also got it switched off because I found it slowed me down. As I was typing, because you know, often when you type, you don't really look at the keyboard. You know, you're just tapping stuff out. And I found that when I was like having to look back and see, you know, what was popping up, it sort of slowed things down and just felt largely pointless. But I don't know. Yeah. I guess some people like it. But yeah, so it's got the predictive emojis. So this is where, like, if you type sad, and then the emoji will pop up, you know, for that, which is kind of handy. So I mean,
I type a lot actually, yeah.
So yeah, you don't have to like, you know, switch between keyboards or anything like that. So that's kind of handy. But then also it has GIFs as well.
Yeah, it does look really cool. Again, I've used loads of GIF keyboards. I'm still trying to find one that actually works well, because it's just a bit annoying on iOS because you use a GIF keyboard and you can't just like select that GIF and it goes straight into the message. You got to like select the GIF. I mean, at least all the ones I've used, you select the GIF on his keyboard, you like save it, basically essentially download the GIF, and then you have to go like to upload media and then select image. It's just not, it's really a clunky way of doing it. I wonder if this one does it any better, or if that's just the way it has to be done.
I know. I mean,
have you used any GIF keyboards yourself?
I did very briefly, but then David Turner told me to stop using it. So
yeah.
I didn't use it anymore after that because he was quite emphatic about the fact that I mustn't use it. So
I was annoyed. Yeah,
he wasn't happy with that, so I stopped. But I think maybe. I mean, I thought from this it's a bit like with the search, as in like you just search and then you just tap it and then it appears in the text.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, again, I was desperate to try this after I saw it being announced, and then not available, and it wasn't worth my time to actually go into the US store to get it. So I'm hoping this arrives in the next week or so. I mean, I still can't. Like I said earlier, I still can't believe this isn't out in the UK, but yeah.
But I mean, also, it's got the glide typing as well. I mean, have you ever bothered with that?
So I used SwiftKey when all these new third-party keyboards were first, available for iOS, and it was good at first. It was new and it was interesting, but after about 2 or 3 weeks, I went back to the regular keyboards, and I just found that's a lot better. I will say I'm still not as good on touch keyboards as I was on like the old physical keyboards, but that's because I think I'm quite a lazy typer, and I'll just like type in, press buttons in the rough direction of a key, and I'm just hoping that sort of predictive text, or where it knows it predicts basically the word you're going to write. I'm hoping that's good enough. I'm not talking about the one where you hit the word above the keyboard, but the actual one where if you write like HSND, it knows you've written hand. That's what I just basically bank on that. I think almost every word I write, it has to be changed thanks to that.
Yeah, I think, as we said, like David Turner, our friend also, he relies heavily on that as well, and it doesn't work well for him, though.
Still manages to screw it up.
Yeah, somehow. But, so you don't really use third-party keyboards that much then? It's not really a thing.
Again, so I do have like a GIF keyboard, but like I said, because it's a bit clunky, I don't really use it as much. And I obviously added the default emoji keyboard, like years ago, which is it's not a third party. It's just the other sort of built-in emoji keyboard. And I used SwiftKey for a bit, but I just found it was just annoying to have to press that the world button and then switch keyboards. And it just felt really clunky. And in the end, I just thought I'll stick with the default one. I think it's great for some people, and some people now on iOS swear by SwiftKey or Swipe, or I think that's what the other one's called. And that's great for them, but for me, I just found it too slow, too clunky, and hasn't really caught on with me. How about you?
Yeah, you see, I mean, again, pretty much exactly the same as you, but then my other concern about it was the privacy side of things. I mean, it seems that with the Gboard, this isn't a problem because they say that none of what you type, apart from when you're searching for stuff, goes to Google. But I remember when I first installed SwiftKey, it says all of basically what you're typing is going to us so that we can analyze, make it better for you. And it's I can accept that, but that's also like having a keylogger on my phone, and I just didn't feel very happy about that, so I didn't bother using it.
I mean, this does make sense to me because as much as I'm an iOS user, all my other services are Google. I use Google Docs every single day, multiple times a day. Obviously Google for search, Google Calendar, Google Contacts. There's probably tons of others which I can't remember right now, but all my big productivity things are done through Google services, and this, knowing my search history, and that felt dodgier than it meant to sound. But it knows my search history. It knows like calendar requests and my contacts. I like to see what it's like because it knows data about me. Whereas obviously the standard iOS keyboard, it doesn't really link into those services. So I'm really interested in using this, and I'll definitely give it a go. Whereas I guess normally I just wouldn't bother with any other third party, but this does make it a bit more of a compelling reason to use it, just because I use Google services so frequently.
Yeah, I think for me, as soon as it comes out, I'll try it, because the fact that it doesn't send everything I'm typing in general has made me happy. If they did that, then I'd be less happy about it. But the fact that it only does it for search, which it does that on the computer anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But I think it looks great. And it's just a shame that it's not out here yet.
Yeah, so the built-in search. So if I'm talking to you and I said, let's go for a meal somewhere, I would then just press a search bar, a search key or whatever, and I would just search Italian restaurant, and it would, does it open up the browser? Does it open up?
No, it comes in the bottom, as in it it comes in the bottom in as it said, in the form of cards that you can see.
Okay, yeah. That could be super handy. I mean, instead of having to switch to Safari, find something, copy the link, go back to thing, go back to the message.
But yeah, that's the whole advantage of the whole thing, is that you can just stay inside you don't have to move anywhere else like out of it, which is kind of good. But yeah, I know hopefully it will come soon to to Europe. But maybe they're punishing us for the for European Union suing them and things like that.
Probably you can't get Gboard. I'm afraid it's going to be weeks and months. Yeah. No, I'm definitely interested when it comes to UK in 2017.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what have you got, Matt? What's you've been interested in this week?
For mine, this week, so on the 9th of May, TechCrunch had their annual Disrupt event in New York, and one of the most eagerly anticipated keynote speakers from that was a couple of Siri co-founders who were basically presenting the first public demonstration of their essentially the new version of Siri. It's called Viv, or what's VIV. I'm going to presume that's pronounced Viv.
You pronounce it Viv. Yeah.
So these are two guys who co-founded Siri. Obviously, Siri was a technology bought by Apple, and I'm going to assume these guys left the company after it was acquired. But they've obviously shown off their new technology. They call it they call it really advanced human computer interaction. I believe it learns from users and how they interact with it. And the video, which is on Mac Rumors, and I'll put a link in the show notes, it does look really impressive. You can talk to Viv with much more complicated sentence structure and requests that compared to how Siri currently does it. You can the temperature be in 2 Wednesdays' time at the Golden Gate Bridge, obviously if you're in America, and it gave, again, in this obviously quite heavily scripted demo on stage, it gave a really quick, really great response. They've linked it in with popular services like Uber, and I think Pro Flowers is another one, which I presume is some American sort of flowers service, where they just held down the Viv button in this app and said, send some flowers to my mother, and it would bring up essentially what looks like a set of cards with some flowers. You say go or press the button, and it basically knows all your details, and basically things are ordered essentially within 2 taps of the screen. You can say, I need a cab for 6 people to get me around the corner. Again, it brought up Uber super quick. It knew because 6 people, it only looks at Uber XL and Uber SUV, which is another larger Uber they've got in the States. So it was doing really great, complicated things, contextual things. It knew information. It had obviously information about the user. It was really good. But after seeing this, and after obviously using Siri for the last sort of few years, I'm actually less sort of confident about the future. And this is the thing I want to talk about. This Viv thing does it really good, but the thing I want to talk about is the fact that actually I think we are so far away from having proper digital assistants than I think originally I thought. I think when I first had Siri, I thought, wow, you know what, digital assistants aren't that far away. It could happen. But actually, the more I see, all I really see is the limitations, and I want to talk about that. And I guess I know you've seen a bit of this Viv demo. What did you think when you saw it?
Yeah, I mean, because one of the things that he kept on talking about was the fact that it wasn't scripted, and that this is a much deeper way of doing things than other AI assistants have. But I kind of agree with you about the fact that they're not developing in the way that you as fast as you'd imagine they would have done. I mean, Siri has kind of stood still for quite a long time. I mean, they add new functions like you can search for new stuff or whatever, but it doesn't feel any more intelligent than it was when it first launched. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, it just feels so limited. I mean, Siri, one of the big things to publicise about Siri is, you can ask it funny questions, it gives you funny answers. Well, I'm not going to waste my time doing that, They might be like, if you're saying something Star Wars related, they might give you a funny quote, and I don't care. I mean, I think we've been over this multiple times on this podcast and other stuff, but the biggest thing I use Siri for is setting timers, and that's great, right? All I want to do is set a timer, but when I set a timer and Siri responds with, "Ha ha, the suspense is killing me," I'm like, I can't be bothered with this. I've set a timer for my pizza. Right? I don't want a pithy response after that. So yeah,
I got that the other day when I did it, and it said don't let that egg cook for too long. And I was like, I'm not cooking eggs, you idiot. And
I didn't dare respond, because I respond and they'll say, I do not understand that. I was like, you know what, forget it. Yeah. This isn't her, frankly. You've seen her, the film with Joaquin Phoenix and Scarlett Johansson, right?
I've not, no.
Oh my god, you've got to see that. Yeah, you will absolutely love that. It's okay, right? Yeah, right. This is homework for next week. Watch Her.
Okay.
It's really fantastic film. It's really interesting. Do you know what it's about?
No, give me a brief synopsis.
So Joaquin Phoenix is a guy. He's got a backstory which I won't say, but he's a guy who works for a greetings card company, and it's set in the near future. It doesn't say when. It's near future, and basically, him and everyone who works in his office basically are talking to computers all day, basically essentially writing greetings cards, and they're writing. I believe they're also maybe writing letters to people, but I can't remember. The memory's a bit blurry on that. And essentially, he gets given a new OS, and essentially, it's about the story of how he starts to interact and get to know his new operating system, which is a voice. It's a OS controlled by voice, and the voice talks back to him and stuff. So it's all about how he gets to know that OS, and it's really fascinating, and the design is really great. It's a good story, and especially if you're into technology. Anyone listening to this right now, if you haven't seen Her, especially in today's sort of world of Siri and Viv and the stuff we're talking about right now, it's a really fantastic film. It's really interesting anyway.
How old is it?
I mean, the last 4 years. I don't know. It feels really fairly recent. It's been on DVD and Blu-ray for a couple of years, so. Yeah, I reckon within the last 4 years. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But Her is fantastic anyway. But essentially, you haven't seen it, but we are a million miles away from that. And the more I see these digital assistants, the further I think we're away, which is weird because everything I should be seeing improvements. And as you say, Siri, nothing's happened with Siri. And every year when WWDC comes around, we're hoping that Apple will announce Siri as an open platform or new really, really big editions, but they say, hey, now you can search for championship football matches instead of the Premier League and this and that, I mean, which is good, but I never do any of that stuff. I never say, hey, what's the Palace score? Because because they'll say I don't understand, or and I've never felt like I've had a conversation with Siri. It's just literally me barking orders.
But do you find that she understands you? Because with mine, I find it works most of the time, but then when I actually need it to work, which is like if I'm driving or something like that, I find it very frustrating because obviously there's other noise and that kind of thing, and it doesn't always pick up exactly what I'm trying to say. And that irritates me quite a lot. I mean, if you're in an ideal environment, it works quite well. But I mean, what do you think about Siri on the watch? Because I found that largely the only thing I've ever used it for is the timers. Because nothing else. There doesn't seem to be any point to it. I mean,
well, yeah. So Siri on my phone, I've used it for ages, and 99% of the time I'm setting timers for cooking. Or alarms, basically, also for cooking. So I thought Siri on the watch, amazing, but Siri on the watch is really slow, and you've got to actually look at it to see if it's recorded what you said correctly, and it's just really slow. So now I don't really use it on my watch, just because Apple Watch is so slow. And actually, I haven't really used it properly on the watch since the first week where I almost had a car crash in like the first week of having the Apple Watch, because I thought, okay, it's the future. I've got an Apple Watch. I'm cool. I'm going to do Siri. I'm going to send a message to my mate Mark whilst I'm driving. No, bad idea. I was really close to going to the back of someone else's car because I can't just hold down the button and say, Mark, hi, how's it going? Full stop. Hope you're okay? Full stop. Basically, because I basically felt like I had to look at the actual watch itself whilst doing it because it's so slow, and it doesn't read out what it doesn't read out or relay back to you what it's taken in through voice. It's only visual, so you have to look at the screen to see what is said, and you haven't got the confidence and the belief it's going to actually dictate what you're saying correctly.
Yeah, and also
to actually trust it and say, you know what. I know you've heard it, send, and it sends. I've never done. So I did that once and when the watch and almost had a car crash. Never again. I've never. If I received a text when I'm in the car, I have never sort of bothered to read out a message. Do you do that much?
I've done it a couple of times, but then it's okay, but it's not ideal still.
Yeah, for me, there's no sort of trust that it works enough for me to allow it to be part of my life in a way that I know it's going to work. So I just say it, and I trust it's going to work. So I set timers. I know that's going to work 99% of the time. I'm fairly confident with that. Just press the button or, hey Siri, set a timer for 5 minutes. It's usually fantastic. My phone is just actually beeped. I forgot I was saying. Hey. Also, if we should probably have a code word for that, because people who are listening to this on speakers, their phones are probably going crazy right now. We should probably change it to, oh God, can you hear that? Okay, I will beat that out, or I'll do something, who knows. For me, there's just not enough trust, but seeing these new things like Viv, it's fantastic that these people are making new advancements, and people have to, it's going to have to be pushed forward, but right now I feel further than ever away from a digital assistant that's properly going to work every single time. Having said that, everyone raves about Alexa, on Amazon Echo.
Yeah.
So the moment that's available in the UK, I really want to get one in, but also because I can have that in the kitchen and just say set a timer, and it should work.
Yeah, I know, because you see, I agree with the thing with the watch, because I still try sometimes to use it with the replying to messages or whatever, but it is the speed. But what's really frustrating about it is sometimes it does it really quickly and it's perfect. And it's like, if it did that perfectly every time, this would be genuinely useful. But then often, I'm sure it's because it's doing the translation, from, text to speech to text rather, using your data connection, isn't it? I think that's,
yeah.
And so it depends on whether you've got good data or not. And it's just so frustrating, because so many times I've ended up having to re-say it about 3 or 4 times. And then you're just thinking, I could have just got my phone out of my pocket and done this.
Yeah, I said I don't try it. I think I actually tried it on. So we're recording this on Saturday. I think I recorded this on. I've tried on Wednesday or Thursday. I think Jill texted me, and I was feeding my daughter at the table. I thought, you know what, I got to watch on. Let's just try it. And I started dictating it. It got it wrong. I was like, you know what, sod this. I'll get my phone out, because you can't say cancel or delete word. If I don't mind if it takes longer, if I could maybe then say. Delete word or undo or something, but I can't. So you could write in a massive message. It's done really well. It's dictated 25 words and punctuation, and then the last word is you've sworn or you said something totally inappropriate.
Yeah.
And actually you meant to say hello, but I don't know, whatever you said. And I was like, I've got to delete all this again. I'm not. That's the other annoyance. If you write anything more than 5 words, the fact you got to do it all again, I'm like, sod this. I might as well text.
Mm.
Yeah, it's a shame. I obviously want it to be better, and WWDC is happening within the next month or so.
Yeah, maybe
Apple will finally announce it.
But it is frustrating. You can do the thing where you can send your voice, send what you say.
Yeah, I do like that. I like the idea of that, and I have done that in the past. I like the fact you can either send text or audio. I think that's really clever.
See, that's massively popular in China, because everybody using WeChat does that, and it's really annoying, to be honest, because it's if you're on a subway or whatever, you're trying to hear what somebody said, and they've just done that instead of sent you a text, and then you're trying to hear it, and then everyone's doing it, and it's just kind of irritating.
So everyone would rather send an audio clip than either call or text.
Yeah, loads of people do that. I got all the time. I still get them all the time, and it's still really annoying, because then it's if you're in a group of people, you don't really want everyone hearing what is being said to you, and so it's this is really irritating.
Well, why do you think that's the case?
I don't know. It could be because maybe the predictive stuff isn't so good. For from Chinese, but I don't know about that, because I tried that. My wife tried that. And it seemed to be almost better than English, to be honest with you. The speech to text. Yeah. But I don't know. Maybe it's just there's strange things sometimes. They just like some things that we don't like so much.
I have sent a fair few sort of audio clips through either iMessage or WhatsApp. I guess the good thing about that is that I know there's no chance of it sort of. Yeah. It's not going to dictate me, because it's just audio of my voice. So I've got obviously trust that it's going to record and trust it's going to send properly. Whereas anything dictating Siri wise is just not great. I
think I'm gonna start sending them to you now. I think it'll be.
Yeah. Well, we could do the whole podcast just 2 different audio clips.
Yeah. That'd be awful, but
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess we'll see what happens at WWDC, and maybe if there's any improvements. We'll kind of see. But
here's hoping.
The next thing I'd like to look at is the question of the week, and actually it's related to Google, because Google I/O is next week. This is Wednesday the 18th. They've got a 2-hour keynote. So really, the question for this week is, what do you want to see from this? So I'm going to ask you first, Matt. What do you want to see from this?
Google I/O is always a really interesting one. Obviously I'm primarily iOS, but I keep a keen eye on what they're doing over there, and I mean, I've watched in the past, and it says it's a 2-hour keynote this time. It's always felt about like 4 to 6 hours. Like they seem to go on and on and on. And I guess because they've got so much to pack in. I mean, it's not just like WWDC where there's it's typically iOS focused and there's like some coding stuff towards the end. I mean, Google have got everything. They've got their phones, they've got Android, iOS, they've got they've got Chrome OS, and when I watched the last one last year, there's so much stuff to pack in. It was absolutely bonkers. I mean, there's loads of rumors and there's loads of things that are meant to be shown. Obviously, Android N, so the previews happened, but no one knows the name of that. So Android N's could be a thing. There's obviously talk about AI and messaging services, I guess similar to the chatbot stuff we've seen in Facebook Messenger recently, and no doubt that's coming to WhatsApp, no doubt soon. The biggest rumour, and obviously the one I'm most excited about, is the fact that they're potentially doing an Android VR headset. This is alleged, or this is rumoured to be in between Gear VR and the sort of power of things like Oculus and Vive. I mean, and also it's been deemed as a follow up to Google Cardboard. Now, I've used Google Cardboard loads. I love it on my iOS device. So I guess my major worry is if this is the follow up to Google Cardboard and it's Android VR, surely they're not going to allow iOS support. I mean, it would be amazing if Android VR could be powered with an iOS phone, but I can't see that happening. But I'm really interested to see what they do and exactly what it's going to be. If it is more powerful than Gear VR, and it's gonna be. I'm obviously, I'm big into my VR, so I'm really interested to see what they do there.
Because Google Cardboard just been released, hasn't it, in Europe as well?
Yeah.
Have you ever tried this?
Yeah, good Cardboard. Yeah, I bought mine a year or so ago, because although only Google are now officially selling it, there's like Cardboard, there's like unofficialcardboard.com who've been selling Google Cardboards for years. You can buy it on Amazon up to now. It's only just the fact that Google, you can actually officially now buy it from the Play Store in the UK or in Europe. But you've actually been able to get it for ages. Yeah, Google Cardboard is fantastic. I mean, it's so impressive. It literally is just a bit of cardboard. You build it, it works on your phone, and as like an approximation of what proper VR can be, it's really good. And there's some great apps. One's called Verse. It's VRSE, and it's basically like 3D films, sort of 360 photography, and there's some really fantastic stuff on there. Considering it's just an app using your phone and a bit of cardboard. So I think Google Cardboard's brilliant, and but I'm really interested to find out what they do with VR, with Android VR, if it is indeed a thing. And if it is indeed a thing, which chances are it is, it's only a matter of time. The fact that Apple thus far haven't even said anything approaching VR. The fact that Android have got one out, I mean, this is gonna be interesting to see what Apple does as a sort of reaction to this.
Yeah, similarly, after what we talked about just a minute ago with the with Viv and everything, the thing that I'm most interested in is their take on Amazon Echo.
Yeah, this is also going to be super interesting,
because especially integration with Google now, this could make it really powerful, like the things you could do with that. But then the problem with that is that Google's entertainment services aren't really that great, are they?
No.
What have they got? I know they've got like the whole range, but it's, even Amazon, Amazon Music's terrible.
Yeah,
it's really terrible.
I've got Amazon Prime, but I've never used Amazon Music.
No, I've got it as well, but yeah, it's not worth it. It's not so good. But also in that, it all depends on how open that's going to be as well, though. Like if they'll be able to, developers will be able to plug things into it.
You have to imagine it's pretty open. Although Amazon have constantly sort of surprised and impressed me with the amount of companies that they're getting to integrate with Amazon Echo. It feels like every week there's like a new update on The Verge or somewhere saying you can now play Spotify for Amazon Echo. You can now do this for Amazon Echo. It connects to your Hue smart bulbs and all sorts of stuff. I'm sure there's a post the other week on The Verge or somewhere whereby someone had started their Tesla using Amazon Echo. I think they started their autopilot. They got out of the garage just talking to Alexa on Amazon Echo. So yeah, I'm really impressed with that. And you've got obviously Android, it's known for the fact it's an open platform. So you've got to imagine that that's going to happen. And Google now is brilliant. When I think I've said this before, but every year when the new iPhone comes out, I typically sell that a week or two before the new one comes out, and I then use an Android device for a couple of weeks to see what's happening in that space. And Google Now is the best thing about it for me. It's really good. It brings you contextual information that's really useful. So yeah, I'm a version of Amazon Echo, but using Google stuff. And again, the fact that it knows all my calendar sort of all my calendar appointments and my email and contacts, it could be really interesting. Mm-hmm. And again, where is Apple's why hasn't Apple got like a AirPlay or Siri speaker?
That's exactly what I was going to say. Like, I mean, will Apple respond to any of this? And probably not. I mean, I don't. I mean, it just seems so obvious.
The VR thing less so, although could potentially be a bigger market than these sort of Bluetooth speakers. But yeah, I mean, why hasn't Apple done like a Siri speaker? Echo's been out for. Was it? I mean, again, in the US only, because it's still not available over here because they also hate us. But yeah, like it's been out for a fair while. Everyone raves about it. No one really expected much, after sort of Amazon's previous hardware, like the Fire phone and whatnot. But everyone raves about it. Everyone says it's great. And Apple have got Siri. Like, you've got to imagine this is another thing that they're doing, right?
And also, I mean, they have support for AirPlay speakers and all that kind of thing. It just makes so much sense, to be able to do a lot of this stuff. And they've got all the entertainment services as well, built in. But
yeah, you could say play Drake on Apple Music and it'll do it. And I mean, I think that could be really interesting.
But yeah, I mean that's it really. I mean, this is what that's kind of what I'm looking for. But I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see what comes.
Yeah. So that keynote is Wednesday the 18th. So so this podcast will be out on the Monday, so in just 2 days' time. So yeah, I'll definitely try and watch the live blog on The Verge or something to see what happens there.
Other technology websites are available.
Yeah, like interfacepodcast.squarespace. That's the website. Yeah. So I think Google I it could be interesting, but it could also go on for 16 hours. But yeah, I'm still super interested to see what I do there.
Okay. So what have you got to tell us, Matt?
I've got a whole lot of social stuff to tell you. So this podcast Interface is available on iTunes. Search for Interface, find the Interface podcast with the black and white branding, and then subscribe. And it'd be great if you can leave a review, because reviews are good, I guess. We're on Twitter. We're at InterfacePod. We are at facebook.com/InterfacePod. And we're on YouTube. YouTube is where you find our podcast, as well as anything else we're sort of planning to do in the future. Go on YouTube, search Interface Podcast. If you filter by channels, you will find us. We're desperately trying to get 100 subscribers, because once we get that, we can get our own URL. But in the meantime, search for Interface Podcast and you will find episodes on there. We've also got a website. We're interfacepodcast.squarespace.com, and that is me done.
Thank you, Matt. It's really good. Okay, so I hope that you'll see us next week.
See you, James.
Bye-bye.